Hello. Oh, hi there. What you doing in here? I'm sorry that I always start every broadcast I ever do with a terrible, fake, bad British accent. But, if they colonize us, I feel like I can say that. So, yeah. Anywho, um, we're here to have our conversation for our episode about tokenization and my experiences with it. And in the podcast episode last week, I shared my personal experiences being um, tokenized. And this call in show is really all about giving you guys the opportunity to call in and share with me your own personal experiences with tokenization. So, um, side note, I'm going to be doing my nails throughout this whole thing because I've got a hot date tonight and daddy likes for me to have my nails done. So I'm doing my own nails. But let me know if you guys hear like nail noises because I don't want anything to be too annoying. So I'm getting a question about can I call from Europe? And so basically the way this is going to work is you're going to get a phone number that you can call. And if you can call that number from your phone, you can get through. So far we have not gotten anyone for you from Europe. We've gotten people from Canada. Um, but I don't think we've had anyone from outside of Northern America. This is a beta testing sort of thing that YouTube has let me in on, and yeah, um, it's not perfect. It's not everything, but it is what we're using right now. It is also the easiest thing. So funny story. Just I'll tell you guys a quick little story before we start because I know there's people still filing in. So if you have been with me for a bit, the last time I did a call-in show, what I ended up doing is actually fully going out and buying a new Apple product because I thought that I had thrown away my iPhone. I was doing a lot of cleaning before I went on a little mini vacation, and I thought that I had just mindlessly thrown it away. Well, I was cleaning up my room and I fucking saw it just like sitting right there, my iPhone. Because for those of you guys who don't know and haven't heard me say it several times, I fucking hate iPhone. I don't support that lifestyle. It's totally fine if you personally want to live that way. I just don't agree and I think it's disgusting. Um, so I'm not mad at myself for buying um this new Apple product, but girl, I could have looked a little harder. I just, you know what? I just needed like an excuse to buy an iPad. I just needed an excuse. So I got mine and I bought it and it is what it is and I'm gonna use it for work and blah 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 blah. Um, but yeah, this is an old iPhone that I used to use. And I no longer use, and I literally can't. It's only available on Apple, so I have to use an iPhone. Ugh, fucking hate that bullshit. That's one of the many reasons why I don't like Apple products. But we're not here to bitch and moan about Apple, and it's false. What's the term I'm looking for? Obsolescence. We're here to talk about tokenization, right? So tokenization. I'm going to give you a quick little talk about recap of the story. So I was approached by a photographer, um, and he wanted to take some photos of me to diversify his portfolio. He had approached me on a fetish website where I had been looking for a dominant, and he had, approached me in the way he would, in a way where I assumed that he was interested in me, beyond that. And so I was really annoyed when his, only reason for connecting with me was getting you know, diverse photos of me so that he could make his portfolio look better. Um but it was what it was. I kind of told him off, but also said, hey, if we can still collaborate, because my happy medium was like, you know, I always need photographers. I always need people to um, you know, come in and take photos with me, hold cameras or whatever. And so, one second. Let me make sure I got the chat open for a second. Just in case some annoying bullshit happens. Okay. So, what was I gonna say? So yeah, so that was the experience. He wanted me to diversify his portfolio, and I was pretty annoyed by that purely because I literally don't exist to be somebody's like little diversity point. That's kind of annoying to me. I don't want to fucking be your, tokenized like, little thing in your portfolio. So that was the issue I had. Then I went out to the club and I physically ran into this person. We literally met in person for the first time at the club, and I tried to be friendly towards them and say hello, and they just totally acted like I didn't fucking exist. Um I started a conversation with me and then abruptly ended it. And for me, that was like a really like clear example of somebody wanting me to be available for them for, their little diversity thing that they're doing online performatively. Um, and that and not wanting to include me in their actual daily lives. And that was something that I sort of needed to experience to sort of see that that was the reason why I had such an issue with it, because you know I think it's a good thing that people are trying to become more aware, and they're trying to be more together and stuff. And I think that there's nothing wrong with people wanting to associate with folks who are different than them. But my problem kind of came where so frequently this is only done in a really narrow context, and the narrow context is often one that's connected to money, often connected to them seeming and looking like they are so-called hashtag woke. um, and that was my problem, because I've personally noticed in my own life, people who can literally only talk to me about when it's, some bullshit I don't want to fucking talk about. I have people who literally only want to talk to me about race, some people who randomly want to talk to me about trans shit, which is kind of strange for I think anyone who actually knows me. But unfortunately, sometimes when people know you're trans, literally you become their little trans spokesperson, and like they can only justify having conversations with you if it's about that. And I hate that people often don't understand that I exist in multiple contexts, that I am not just supposed to be your little token. And yeah, that was kind of what the podcast was about, is just my own experiences with tokenization, and just how much it alienated me and how much I fucking hate it. So um that's what we're going to be talking about. I told my sort of story about that. I wanted you guys to come in and share your story with that. So I'm going to open up the fan lines right now. And this is not like other previous weeks where we've got specific people that I want to call. I just want to hear from everyone about various different perspectives and experiences. What are your experiences with tokenization, and why, um and how has it made you feel? I think that that's what we really want to talk about. Is there's a weird in between line with, is this person tokenizing me, or do I just feel like I'm being tokenized? um because I think a lot of times when people tokenize, it's not as deliberate as what I just described. It's not, hey, I literally want to, represent my portfolio in a more diverse way. Can you please help me do that? It's often just like, you know, good intentions that misfire. Um, do you know what I mean? Like people who mean well, but they will occasionally do things that make you feel alienated. And I think a lot of people are currently doing that and don't exactly understand that they're doing that, right? So I will reiterate this because I see that we've got 5 people on the line. Um, I really do appreciate people who want to call in and just say hello and they want to express appreciation for my work. I really do like, I mean, I don't like, but I appreciate that you want to do that. But please, 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 please understand that I have to edit this. And if you call in and you're just trying to derail the conversation, or you're trying to just say hello to me, or just trying to talk to me, you're trying to get us to talk about something else, um, I'm gonna try to be polite, but I'm going to end up I'm gonna just end the call pretty abruptly, because I have to sit through this and edit. And it's been kind of consistent that this work it's been kind of consistent that this basically ends up lasting for 3 hours, and I really don't want to fucking do that. I super don't want to do that. So if you're calling in just to say hello, please know that if you first put it this way: if you respect me and the things that I make, you will respect the fact that I don't want to hear from you right now. Okay. I don't want to hear from you right now. I don't want any of that, because I have to sit through and edit this. And when you do that, it really does derail the conversation. So just, be aware of that. You can comment and say something nice. I'll read it. But when it comes to calls, please only call in if you got a story to tell about being tokenized, how it's made you feel, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm going to give myself some headroom, and then I'm going to accept the first call. Here we go. Hello.
Hello?
Hi there. Who am I speaking to, and what is your true tea?
Oh, heck, this is me. Give me one moment. I need to mute my thing so you don't get feedback.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. Just in time. So, is it okay if the story is not about me, but something that I see in my work?
Sure, go for it.
Okay, so I work in youth engagement and no details, but it's in an inner city, and I came onto the job and I heard that our district uh, didn't like that they were hearing from particular students. So what they would
Oh.
do is they would pick other groups of students. And what's really funny is that they would not contact certain groups of students that are the same group of students as another group of students. So like, sorry, group of A, I don't like what you have to say. I'm going to talk to group of B because they're connected with a more prestigious organization.
Wait, can you give context for this?
And
Because
only listen to them.
I'm a little confused. I don't know
Okay,
what your industry is, or like what this is. Are you
cool.
talking about like
Sorry.
specific people of color groups, or I'm just for
I
context.
work in an inner city schooling in youth engagement.
Okay. What does youth engagement mean?
And basically making sure that our youth, which are the most important stakeholders, because they're actually living their education,
Mhm.
um, that we get their feedback on how we're doing.
Okay.
So we only hear from certain schools where, the students that actually have some support. It's a primarily Black and brown city.
Mm.
And very impoverished because primarily Black and brown city.
Okay.
So the students who have support in order to go to the good schools will go to the good schools, and they'll say, hey, this kind of sucks. And they're like, oh, well, we're only hearing from this one group of students. We are going to stop offering opportunities to these schools.
Mm. So wait, are you saying that I'm still a bit confused, because I know you're trying to be vague to keep
Yeah.
your identity concealed, which I
Yes.
support. Which, hey,
Thank you.
side note, anyone calling in, you can give me a fake name, whatever. This is not about outing people. It's about having conversations. But so where does the tokenization come in? So I know that you're saying that they only want to hear from certain groups, but I'm not understanding what these groups are. Are you
Okay.
saying that
So,
there's like multiple groups within this inner city school?
yeah. So
Okay.
the tokenization comes in with how this goes through. For
Okay.
example, let's say it's Denver. It's not Denver. So we'll say we want youth to give feedback on Denver schools reopening in the fall. But then we will say we only want students who agree with us, or we'll say we only want students who are affiliated with this particular university in Denver, which are actually youth leaders in other zones. But we will only talk to youth if they are uh, affiliated with a university in Denver.
Mm. Okay. So now this is a university, not high school.
This is the public school system.
Okay. And so when you say they only want to hear from certain people, is there what's the correlation there? Is it that they only want to hear from people who have access to riches? Um, I'm still trying to I'm still having a hard time
Yeah,
following. Sorry.
it, they only want to hear the story they want to hear.
Okay. And what story do you think
So
they want to
they'll
hear?
get it. They only. I don't entirely know. I haven't worked here very long.
Okay.
So they want to hear a particular story, and um, so they'll only listen to people who are affiliated with the university. So that's access to the system. That's
Okay.
having buy-in from the system. Because then when they hear the system, they, yes, I'm sorry, I know I can be more clear. I'm neurodivergent. Sorry.
It's okay.
um, so they'll go, okay, we'll listen to them because they've buy-in from the system. They're vetted by these people that we know. But then they don't want to give feedback. They don't want to give money. And so there's only this perpetuation of this system. And it's tokenizing because they only want to hear the story they want to hear. They won't have more than, say, one or two youth leaders in a particular group. They won't listen. Yes, it is confirmation bias. I shouldn't read the chat. I'm sorry.
Try not to read the chat. It can be very confusing.
Yes. So it is confirmation bias, but then also elsewhere in the state, there is students on the school board.
Mm.
And the students are not able, when the student in the school board said, hey, we don't want to reopen, it's not safe, all the parents in that particular location tried to get the student taken off the school board.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
And these are all
So
black people, though.
that's a different county. In our county, or in our school district, the student of the school board is supposedly supported, it's supposed to be supported by the student organization that is backing them up. But the student organization that is backing them up has had the teeth taken out of them by poor district funding, poor district staffing, the inefficacy of the schools, which is created by systemic injustice. And so they also, I've been in a meeting and they keep saying, oh, well, the adults should do it.
Mm.
So that idea of, oh, the adults should do it, of, oh, the adults that we pay to do this, one, we have other work that we need to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
Two, that is not our job, that is somebody else's job.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are trying to empower youth, you need to let them say, yes, you can do this.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. You're saying that like they're only wanting to listen to certain people, but not probably the students who really need it the most, and they want to hear a certain narrative. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, it goes into more than that because then confirmation bias plays in, not confirmation bias, but they will stop listening to students who have privilege who they would previously listen into. And so
Mm.
then it kind of like they move the tokenization around so that way they can say, oh, well, we're not listening to, we can't get good resources, which is adding another layer to tokenization of only picking one group, because it's only one group at any given time,
Mm-hmm.
is how it seems.
Interesting. I feel like I need to know so much more about this to fully see it, but I kind of get what you're saying. Um, it
Yeah,
that does suck because sometimes the people who end up being hurt are not the people who need to be hurt the most. So that does
yeah,
happen, and that is part of part of tokenization is people holding up what they see as the model minority and saying, hey, this person is the one good one. You know why why don't we listen to this person as opposed to other people, whereas people are very diverse within one shared minority group. So it's kind of shitty to only hold up a certain person who adheres to a certain narrative that tells you the certain things you want to hear. So yeah. Well,
thank you, and good luck editing that together.
yeah, I'm gonna try. All right, thank you so much for calling in. Bye. Okay, as I was on this call, I had a thought. I also am open to hearing from people um who have tokenized in the past and recognize that that's what they were doing and have sort of shifted their perspective. So if you've done that, if you've personally tokenized, you know, feel free to call in and share as well. All right, I'm going to give some headroom for this and then take the next call. Side note, do you guys hear me filing my nails? Is that like a noise you hear? Because I guess that's probably not a good thing, but um I'm doing it right now. I'm on my last nail, so I guess it won't be that bad. Is that a little bit? Okay. Well, it's almost done. Like I said, I have to have my nails together tonight. So okay, I'm gonna take the next call. Hello.
Hello.
Hi there. Who am I speaking
Can you
to
hear?
and what is your true tea?
Hi, I'm David, and I'm going to talk a little bit about how I slipped into the gay best friend role.
Oh, yes, please talk about this.
Okay, so I came out to a friend from high school a couple years ago, and she seemed pretty cool with it. And like we were in our 20s at this point, and yeah, she was highly religious, but like I thought, like, oh, she was okay with me, and that seemed to be the case for a long time. And only later did I realize, oh, it's because I'm not like dating anybody or showing any sort of outward interest in things that would be controversial to her.
Mm.
But what happened was things got a little bit more pointed, or I guess. Um, so she started dating a guy, and there were 3 occasions where like we hung out together. She was like, you're my best friend. I want you're okay. If he's not cool, let me know. I'll end it, whatever, right? And I'm so cool, right? And so first time we hang out, um, he says some disparaging remark about gay people, and after the fact, after we hang out, I set her aside and be like, hey, this is not a very cool thing for him to say. She says, yeah, you're right. I should say something next time. And this happened 2 more times, and on the third time, I just kind of had it, and I was just like, hey, you know what? I'm gay. What you said was pretty offensive at that time. You dropped the F slur, and so I was just enough.
Mm.
And so instead of apologizing or anything like that, he says, I kind of figured you were.
Mm.
And the entire time, the friend was not saying anything at all.
Oh,
And
weird.
it was that point. I'm sorry.
I said, oh, weird.
Yeah, just entirely silent at each of these times, and I realized it was like a lot of people that do this tokenization, they'll, express allyship or solidarity when it's convenient, but not when it's, it can make friction in their life.
Yeah.
And so, I'll be maybe paraded around or be like maybe like the hopeful convert in like some of these church spaces. And, you can kind of feel it when you're being shown off. Like, I've got this friend, and, also it doesn't help that I'm also Black. So it's like the double, diversity representation kind of offer. And like the kind of high point of, or like the escalating point about this was when we were getting off work, and a coworker was reading the news about something that was about like Black Lives Matter. And this coworker said, and I quote, "When are Black people going to get over slavery?"
Oof. Okay.
Yes. And so my friend heard this, I heard this, and I was just kind of in like that kind of like stunned state of just like, how, like, am I hearing this right? Am I just tripping out? And she said nothing, didn't react to it at all. And I finally had to like say, like I did like a very truncated history of slavery and why it's still an issue to this day, and deaf ears all around. And then she was just like, "Hey, you can get in trouble if you bring stuff up like this." And it was just like, why is
Yeah,
this
why would you
your
get in trouble for
why is
what?
this your defense? Yeah, just rocking the boat. And it was just like, okay, this is how you kind of see this. You can have these friendships and these like, status, I guess, of being friends with these people, but the second they bring something up, dicey.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing that sucks. Like I've often known the person who is in a relationship and sleeping with a person who speaks ill about their generally minority best friend, and that will always be really confusing to me. Um
Mm,
because like I personally don't get having sex with people who don't support your friends or feel uncomfortable around your friends like that because of who they are.
right.
It's one thing if it's like what they do, but like, just on the basis of you being gay, feeling weird and saying weird, homophobic shit. Like, I don't get having sex with people. I don't identify with that. I have a really hard time identifying with that. Um,
Yeah.
so that fucking sucks, man. I, I'm sorry you went through that experience, and I think that's you point out so clearly too that a lot of times one of the problems with tokenization is that like it's so superficial and it's not backed up by anything. Like you're
Right.
like we're friends, okay, but you're not going to stand up for me when someone's being racist to my face. So are we really friends? What are we even doing? You know? How are we friends if you
Exactly.
can't like defend me in front of people? Like, you know, what is this?
Hmm.
What value am I getting from this? What value are you getting from this? What's the point of calling you a friend if you're not acting like a friend? You know? So
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I
I'm
cut her off years ago, but yeah.
oh go on. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh no. Oh no, you're fine. I cut her off years ago. It was like maybe 2 years ago, but yeah, it was just how you kind of do like the slow tapering off to get away from like certain people. I kind of
Mm.
just did that, and best decision.
Yeah, it was just kind of a gradual thing. It wasn't, just slowly but surely grew apart kind of thing.
Yeah, like she wasn't going to have the conversation, and I didn't want to put in the energy for it, so
Yeah, I
just
get that.
wash
I
my hands
totally
of
get
it.
that. Sometimes that's what you have to do is just walk away, you know?
Yeah.
Well, I really appreciate you calling in and giving me your story. I'm going to take another call, but thank you for giving me your
Okay.
story. I really appreciate it.
No problem. I'm a big fan.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
Mhm.
All right.
Mhm. Take care.
Bye.
All right.
So that was cute. That was a cute little call. Cute little call. Um, So there's 15 people on the line currently. I actually, so someone was mentioning in the chat that if you put a +1 in front of the call and you're international, you can call in. I don't know if that works because I don't like, like I'm an American, so like I don't have to think about that. Um, But if if you're international, you can try that, I think. I don't know. And that might work. I guess we'll see. All right, I'm gonna get some silence and then we're gonna take the next call. Hello.
Hello.
Hi there. Who am I speaking to and what is your true tea?
Hello, my name is Monica,
Hey,
and
Monica.
I have been wanting to vent about this for a while.
Ooh,
um,
perfect.
so I am Black, and I have quite a few friends in the cosmetology industry at the moment. And my hair used to be very, very special to me. But as time went on and I, got pregnant and started experiencing postpartum hair loss and whatnot, I've kind of just come to the conclusion that, you know what, it's just hair, it'll grow back, I'll be okay. So I am perfectly okay being cosmetology experiments. I have no problem with it. If I don't like it, I'll shave my head. So a few of these friends are white, and something that they really want to do is to be able to do Black hair.
Mm.
And that's all fine and good. There are courses for that. There's extracurriculars they can take, which, as we all know, it shouldn't be extracurricular, but it is, that they can take for it. There's all kinds of things they can do, but they want a lot of my advice as someone who's had Black hair for upwards of 24 years. And I recently found out that one of my friends was trying to speak with a Black instructor at her cosmetology course. And at one point she had washed and pressed my hair. And that was just a really simple thing that she wanted to learn how to do, because she's like, I know it's different for Black hair. And I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah, it's a bit more of a process.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't go well.
Oh, no.
Right. First question she asked was, can I just detangle your hair dry?
Ah!
I was like,
no. No, you cannot. You
Please
absolutely
no.
can't. No.
Please no. And then she was like, okay, well, I'll put some conditioner in it and like see what it does. And then she tried to go through with a fine tooth comb, and I lost my mind. And I was like, I don't want to walk away with a migraine, so let's switch. And she went to press my hair, and nothing happened. It was on the lowest setting, like something like 310 maybe. It didn't get straight. It's just she wasn't sectioning. She was kind of grabbing sections of hair, just 2-3 inch sections, and just going for it. But I found out when speaking with this Black professor, she was like, well, actually, I know a lot about Black hair. I have friends, and she lets me do her hair all the time.
Oh, no.
You're supposed to detangle the hair with conditioner and not leave-in, or because it was after the rinse, and the professor had put leave-in and then started detangling. But she's like, I know, it's supposed to be the in-shower conditioner.
Oh, my
And
God.
I was like, no, that's just what I wanted you to do at the time, because I just wanted to get it done.
Oh, no.
And so the whole situation was her talking about how she's kind of an expert in doing Black hair now because she did a wash and press, and I let her watch me do a relaxer at some point.
Wait, you said she wants to do a relaxer at some point?
So she watched me do one when we were in high school. I knew her back in high school. And she had watched me do one.
Okay.
And she was, asking questions. This was before she even knew she wanted to do cosmetology, but, she was real fascinated in the process. I had to do my relaxer that day. She was coming over. I was like, let's just make it a thing. And she said, she had watched a relaxer once, and the chemicals really aren't that complicated, and you can just buy it in a box. And my hair has been used maybe 4 or 5 times now with these 3 or 4 friends in terms of, well, I know how to do black hair. I know how to do textured hair.
Oh
I know
God.
one of them has attempted to do box braids at one point on my head.
Oh no.
And
Sis, why are you letting these white people in your hair?
I'm telling you, I don't, you know what? Like I said, if I end up hating it, I'll shave my head.
Okay, but like as you're saying this is my literal fucking nightmare. This is my
and it was absolutely a nightmare.
I don't let I do all my own hair because I'm actually terrified of allowing somebody else to touch my hair, because if they fuck it up, I'm not going to be able to live with myself, because then I will have paid them to fuck my shit up. I will have paid them money to fuck my hair up. And I know you're not paying money, because I know these are all cosmetology students doing it for free. But sis, that's still your hair. I mean, I get it.
My hair.
You're a bald baddie or whatever, and I love that for you. But it couldn't be me. That's all I'm saying. It really couldn't be me.
No,
a relaxer?
No,
a relaxer?
Heck no. She has never touched my hair with chemicals.
Okay.
With anything more than, I think she used cheese silk infusion, and that is as close as we got.
Okay.
To any kind of chemical treatment.
Okay. I mean, at the tangle, that's risky, you know?
Oh, very.
Like,
I didn't lose any hair.
That's good. That's good. Because like, I mean, I feel like I've been doing my own hair forever and I still don't know what the fuck I'm doing. You know?
Exactly. See, and that's the other thing, is that they think I'm an expert on black hair, and I'm really not.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like
I
feel like it's such a guessing process, and like, unless you've really gone and gotten the education for it, like, sis, most of us are figuring it out as we go. So just the idea of a white person just like, I'm just gonna, like, can we just do Tango Drive? You've like somebody commented, Jordan Peele, take notes, because it really does feel like a Jordan, like, your life is like a Jordan Peele movie. Like, that I can see him making that, where it's like, there are no black stylists in my city, and I just have to get my hair done, and I'm forced to do this, and these 3 white people locked me in a room, and they forced me to do all this kind of things, this scary shit with my hair, and they're taking me to hair shows, and you look a mess, but they're saying it's good. It's, oh my God, it's literally my nightmare.
Well, you know what's so funny is that literally my husband is white and his father is a doctor, and we make the Get Out joke all the time.
Oh God.
It's just my life. It's just my life.
Oh my God.
So yeah, no, it's my hair has been used multiple times in these kinds of situations, and it was all trial and error for me, like you said, like for just about all of us, because no one else knows how to do our hair.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all under the guise of, I want to be better for the black community, when really they know I have told them the price of box braids and crochet styles and weave, and they're like, oh wow, the black hair industry is so lucrative.
Oh my God.
Monica, give me your head.
Oh no. I mean,
like, I want you to be able to do black hair, don't get me wrong. I want more availability. I get it. We're not there yet.
Yeah, I mean, no, I don't know how this is gonna sound. Maybe this is ignorant of me. Y'all feel free to get me together, okay? But like, I'm not letting a white person put box braids in my head. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
It was not a smart decision. I am intelligent, not smart. Let's make that distinction. It was not smart. I think my problem is I have a hard time saying no.
That's what it is.
Something I need to work. Yeah.
Yep. And you know what? I have a theory where I feel like. Oh, sorry. Go on.
Oh no, that was it. Oh, sorry.
I have a theory where I feel like people who end up in positions where they're tokenized often have a hard time saying no. I have a feeling, because, when I think of the situations where I was tokenized, so much of it was like, all right, well, these are people who want to be my friend and I want friends. So I'm gonna, be friends with this person, even if it doesn't totally feel like a fully fledged, friendship. You know, and I think sometimes you
Absolutely.
really do have to put up that boundary and say, sis, you're not touching my fucking head. You know, like, listen, I love that you want
Absolutely.
to try. I wish you the best, but I'm not going to look a fool all week because you need to learn some shit about yourself so you can go and tell other people that you know how to do black hair. I'm so sorry.
Absolutely. Mannequins are cheaper than my dignity.
Mm-hmm. Mannequins are cheaper
Please.
than my dignity. That's a t-shirt. That is a fucking t-shirt.
That's the
Well,
yeah, so that is that.
yeah, I really appreciate you calling in and telling me your story. I'm gonna take another call, but thank you so much for sharing your tokenization story and for giving Jordan Peele another idea for a movie.
Thank you for letting me on. I appreciate it.
All right, bye bye.
Bye.
Okay, so we had a bunch of people hang up. So now I'm like, oh no, what happened? But we still have 10 people on the line. I have a feeling that we're gonna get some good calls from this one from this show, and that I'm not gonna be here for 3 hours. Usually I go until I get about maybe 5 or so calls that I think are gonna be really, really, really good, you know, ones that I can really, really use. You know, so we're just gonna keep going. And side note, if you guys this video and all of my call-in shows go private after I'm finished with them. In fact, I unlist them as we're on the call. So if you ever want to see the full version of these call-in shows or hear the full version of these call-in shows, you guys can check them out on my Patreon, patreon.com/catblack. That is where you can get all of your latest Cat Black updates. And sorry that I always switch in and out of accents. I'm sure that's like offensive to some people, but like I'm an American, so like basically I can do whatever I want. So yeah, don't complain because it's ignorant. Anyway, I'm gonna give some headroom and then we're going to we're going to take the next call. All right. Hello. Ooh, you got to silence.
Hello.
Hey, you've got to mute your chat or the broadcast for sure.
No, yeah, I just did.
Perfect. Who hi there, who am I speaking to and what is your true tea?
Hi, Kat. I'm also Kat, but with a C.
Okay.
And I wanted to speak a little bit about how I felt tokenized as a lesbian in my first relationship with a woman.
Oh my god, yes. That's interesting. So please tell me.
Yeah. So I moved to Atlanta in 2018 after breaking up with my first monogamous long-term relationship with a man. Basically, I realized I was gay, moved without him coming with me, and decided to just like be a lesbian in Atlanta.
Love that. That's a
So
vibe.
no, it was a very liberating time for me. So I started dating this girl, let's call her Nancy, and things are going pretty well. We would go out to the lesbian bar there and dance and make out and have a good time. But I started noticing that things weren't really progressing like physically or emotionally, even after like a few months. So there seemed to be this like hesitation on her end that I was really anxious to breach. But at some point, I started meeting her friends, and I noticed that they would literally refer to me as Nancy's lesbian girlfriend.
Oh, like you weren't a
Yeah, like,
serious girlfriend? Like it was like, oh, ha, ha, ha. She's like her lesbian girlfriend. Ha ha ha. Like a not.
yeah, I didn't really
Ew.
understand. I was like, even I met her boss, who was a gay man. He's like, oh, yeah, you're Nancy's lesbian girlfriend. And I was honestly, it kind of just made me feel more like I was like this fashionable lesbian handbag instead
Ew.
of like her girlfriend.
Yeah, and
It was
also it sounds like it was literally implying that you weren't you know, it wasn't serious. That's a lot.
yeah, and like that on top of like I said, this emotional, physical like moment we were having where I don't know, it felt like things were good when we were around other people, but when we were alone, like things were kind of awkward.
we had a hard time communicating. Like there were a lot of red flags in retrospect. Yeah, like she's bisexual, so I kind of, I don't know. I got the impression that I was the first and only lesbian that she's dated. So I think part of it, the implication I felt sometimes is like I was being used to validate her queerness.
Yeah, that fucking sucks. That really, this story is making me think of this guy that I very briefly dated, and we haven't technically stopped dating, but I'm not. There's other men in my life, put it that way.
Yeah.
And one thing he said to me was that he was excited to date me because I was like his gateway to the queer world. And that was so annoying to me because I feel like anyone who knows me knows that I don't ID as queer, but also am the worst person to be anyone's gateway into any queer world. So it's like you're literally not even seeing me. It's like you're literally not even engaging with me. You just know that I'm a trans woman who goes out a lot, and you assume that that's like a queer thing that we're doing, as opposed to like literally all the other, I go to a lot of goth shit. Like, I guess that's kind of queer, but is that what you mean? Like, so
Yeah.
that's the thing with tokenization is it's so like, they're not even really engaging with you. They're engaging with like the idea of you,
Yeah, exactly. Like, and since it was like, she was my first girlfriend, I felt like,
oh wow. Yeah.
oh my God, she sees me as like this heroic dyke, and I like felt like I couldn't live up to that. Like I felt like I couldn't live up to this like lesbian image that she had of me. So there was pressure there too. It was, I don't know, it's so impossible to talk about stuff.
And like this was a person who was like like physically attracted to you, and you guys like had moments that just never like progressed, really.
Yeah, we had sex, and like,
shit, okay.
we're physical like once or twice, like really not that often though, not to get too TMI on the chat, but like yeah, and it just felt like I think she also really expected me to be the top in this situation, and that's so not
yeah.
what I do. So there was just a lot of like miscommunication, a lot of feeling like I couldn't live up to this expectation she had of me, feeling like her friends and her bosses saw me in this like, oh, this is the lesbian girlfriend, and like you were saying, like, oh, so it's just like it's a phase, or this isn't gonna last. Like I will be remembered as the lesbian girlfriend instead of just like this partner of hers in that moment. Like,
yeah, that's terrible. That's terrible. And and do you think that part of it was just because I know that a lot of women, and I know you know this, but a lot of sapphic folks, they often will struggle to come to terms with their attraction, and they'll be standoffish because of they've been socialized not to express themselves in a certain way, and like just flirting with women and being with women for a lot of women who love women is like odd and like awkward, and like they don't know how to do it, and like it's growing pains early on. Do you think it was some of that? Maybe.
I think for sure. I mean, you had mentioned like when the stream was starting that like sometimes the tokenization is kind of unintentional and coming from a good place. So I think part of it was that. I think part of it was like her really celebrating my identity, because I had told her like, yeah, I am coming out of this long-term relationship with a man, and now I'm really glad I'm out. And I think she definitely wanted to celebrate that, but it, like I said, like literally her friends knew me as like the lesbian, and as a newly out lesbian, it was really intimidating, and as I mentioned, just like felt like I was this validation for her.
Yeah, and that sucks. That sucks because now you're under so much pressure to embody a thing that like you're still processing yourself. So shit.
Yes. Yeah, I was still so new to it. I was so new to dating women, and like really new to, like you were saying, like flirting with women, knowing how to approach women, and definitely have gotten a lot better at that. It's been over 2 years now, but it was really interesting to be my first girlfriend experience. There was a lot to learn from it.
So how did it end with you guys?
Well, we were out with some friends, and like I don't know, we were dancing together, and then all of a sudden she got really distant with me, and then we didn't talk for like, I don't know, it was really weird how it ended. We were dancing, suddenly she like didn't really want to do that anymore. We went our separate ways. Like I went home feeling like, oh my God, I think she's gonna break up with me. And then she did do that. And it was kind of like, because I was sensing and having this discomfort as well. It like, she came over, we just had a chat about it, like, hey, this doesn't seem to be working. And I don't know, it ended up ending like we're still friends, like,
oh, that's good.
Kind of like interact on Twitter occasionally and have each other's number. God, I like helped her move a few times.
Oh no! I don't.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try not to make a U-Haul joke because that's offensive and ignorant. You know.
It is kind of the opposite because we had been broken up already, and I like helped her move across the country during the middle of the pandemic last year.
Oh my God!
We're not even together, and here I am U-hauling with you.
I mean, you gotta really care about someone to help them move. You really do.
Yeah, I really did. Yeah, I felt like the opposite of U-hauling. You know, I had to live up to that lesbian stereotype at least once.
You're like, let me U-haul you out of my area, as opposed to into my home.
Let me. Yeah, get out.
Oh my God. Well, I really appreciate you calling in and giving me your story. That is unfortunate, and it sucks that you went through that, but you know, it's a lot of it sounds like growing pains, and that fucking sucks for everyone involved.
Yeah, I think having 2 years past it, I barely processed it at the time because I was like going through so much shit my first year in Atlanta. But yeah, now that I've like quarantined for self-reflection, I've like looked back on it and kind of landed on these feelings now. But yeah, thanks so much for having my tea, Kat.
Yeah, thank you for your brew. I appreciate it. All right.
Bye. Bye.
All right, so we still have 10 people on the line. That's good. These calls are so good, y'all. And they're diverse. This is probably, how long have we been here? We've been here for 52 minutes. Sis, I don't know if we're going to be here for 3 hours. I don't think we're going to be here for 3 hours, which, I'm so happy about because we've got a good chunk of calls already, and I'm really enjoying this. So, all right, here we go. I'm going to give some headroom, and then we're going to take the next call. Also, I've put 2 layers of nail varnish on. If you missed it earlier, I'm painting my nails because I have a very fancy, smancy date tonight. And one of my newer partners, we've been, things have gotten pretty intense. And he is taking me to a very, very nice steakhouse tonight, and I'm super excited. And he likes for my nails to be done, and so I'm doing my nails so that my shit's together. Yes, I know that that's patriarchy, blah, 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 but maybe I'm into that for this one specific man. Any other man told me to paint my nails, I'd say, fuck you. But I'll do it for him. Anyway, let's do some headroom, and then I'll take the next call. Hello.
Hi, hello.
Hi there. Who am I speaking to, and what is your true tea?
Oh my God, I made it on the show.
You did. You're on the show right now.
Oh my God. I'm kind of nervous. Okay. Hi. Okay, thank you, Kat. I love your show. I've been a longtime fan. Okay, so yeah, let me give you my true tea about getting tokenized.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, I guess for privacy reasons, I'm going to change the names of certain people involved because it's not just me, it's multiple people.
Mm.
Yeah. So, hey, this is obviously not my real name, but I'll just say my name's Savannah.
Okay.
And, yeah. And my dad and I, we're both Mexican. We both grew up here. Well, I grew up here in California. My dad's from Mexico, so is my mom. So, we're Mexicans that were, well, at least I'm a Mexican who was born and raised in California here, Southern California. And for like the past 5 years, me and my dad, we have attended this mostly Mexican and South American church here in California. I won't say the name of the church, but here's the thing. We're kind of like a subdivision of a part of a larger church. I know that sounds odd, but let me try to explain.
Mm-hmm.
Basically here in California, there's a pastor here. He's a white pastor, and for a long, long time, he has what they call mega churches, which those are churches that have like thousands and thousands of people. And not only does he have church locations here in California, but he has church locations in other states. And the way that works is usually he'll send over like an assistant pastor or a pastor that he has trained up to be like, hey, be in charge of my church in Texas, or hey, you be in charge of my church in, I don't know, Idaho or something. And the reason this context is involved is because the church is very, very white that he runs, but recently he has been expanding, or quote unquote, as he calls it, reaching out to, Hispanic, South American, and Black communities, and trying to form churches there of saying like, hey guys, kind of quote unquote, I'm woke too, even though I'm an old white dude,
Mm-hmm.
And me and my dad happened to attend one of his quote unquote, mostly Mexican and Hispanic subdivision churches. But it's not him who teaches that church. Let's just call him Pastor Bob. That's not his actual name, but just for shorthand, let's just call him that little nickname. So this older white guy, probably like in his 60s, the Pastor Bob with all those churches, he started, a small Mexican, South American, let's just say Hispanic church here in California, the one me and my dad attend. And we've been attending it for like 5 years or so now, so we got a good history with it. Because we don't just attend it, but we involve for like, volunteer positions and all that jazz. And a couple years back when Trump got elected, obviously there was a huge stir in that church. And here's the thing, the white guy, Pastor Bob, he's not in charge of that church. He hired a Mexican pastor. Let's just call him Pastor Pedro. That's not his real name. We're just coming up with fake names.
Yeah.
So, yes, I know. That's stereotypical, but whatever. I'm Mexican. I could get away with that.
Stereotypical name, but okay.
I know, right? I'm Mexican. I could get away with it.
You can do it. Yeah.
Thank you. And sorry if I repeat myself a little. I'm just a little nervous,
No,
Never
you're
done
actually
this.
doing really well. So keep going.
Okay, thank you. So anyways, so of course, the church being mainly Mexican and South American, me and my dad know the community well because we volunteer and stuff. People are like, I'm not a citizen. I'm scared of what if I get deported under the things that Trump is saying. They're like, and I'm going to lose my kids. His rhetoric, and we're not even going to argue if we agree or whatever, but bottom line is his rhetoric terrifies a lot of Mexican and South American parents who are like, I'm going to get separated from my kids, and my kids are going to be thrown into the hell that is the American foster care system if this actually happens,
Yeah.
Because under the Trump administration, ICE was getting ramped up at the beginning of it all, and in particular, many Catholic Hispanic churches were signing petitions of like, no, we're not going to stand for this. It's like ICE is not going to deport these people. So, of course, with it being a quote-unquote evangelical Christian church, they all turned to their pastor, Pastor Pedro, and they said, hey, let's do the same thing. They said, let's petition so we don't get hurt, so we don't get deported, so our families don't get torn apart by getting deported. And Pastor Pedro said, listen, guys, he says, he's like, I know you're terrified. He says, I know some of you guys are not citizens. He says, but we need to instead, he's all, trust in God, not our politicians. He says, we need to pray. And he says, and we're not going to discuss politics right now at the church. And that made my jaw drop because I'm familiar with the white guy who started this whole thing, quote unquote, Pastor Bob. And I'm like, I know Pastor Bob is involved with this political Christian movement. It's been around since the 1980s, I believe. It's called, I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but it's called The Moral Majority. Ronald Reagan. Yeah. Oh, okay. So you are familiar with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Also,
know, it's
side note,
basically,
I'm like 80% sure that I used to go to this church. 80, I could
oh
be
my
wrong
God.
though, but that would be yeah. But
Wait,
keep going.
Pastor Bob's church, air quote, or Pastor Pedro's?
Pastor Bob's church. Yeah, yeah.
who
Like
who knows, man? Because I used to volunteer at Pastor Bob's church before I went to Pastor Pedro's church with my dad.
I used to volunteer. If it's the same church, I used to volunteer there too. I worked in the youth ministry. But
We,
who knows?
huh? Oh my God, that's crazy. I didn't do youth ministry. I mainly worked behind the scenes, like backstage stuff, and also I did like a little bit of graphic design. But who knows? Maybe we just like casually walked by each other and never knew it.
It's possible. It's a big church.
I know, right? Yeah, that's funny though.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, Pastor Bob, his whole thing politically is that he's always been like, hey, Christians should be involved in politics. We should be at the forefront. We need to make our political organizations. We need to get lobbyists in Washington and advocate for what we would want done in America. And for those who are unfamiliar, these people often, they're loosely associated as the moral majority. These type of Christians, and again, I'm not condemning all Christians, just I'm talking about this particular group. So please know I'm not sending any hate or any judgment. This particular group of Christians, this just one I'm describing, they often describe themselves as the moral majority because they believe, hey, we're the real majority of the real Americans, quote unquote, and we're going to raise money and we're going to get involved in politics and mold America into the quote unquote Christian nation that it used to be. So these guys are very, very political. Pastor Bob, air quotes, is extremely political. He puts politics into his sermons very often and very bluntly. So for him to tell Pastor Pedro, air quotes, like, hey, your church is not going to talk about politics, tell them they're not going to talk about politics. And it's like, and that's the orders I'm giving you. And then Pastor Pedro to relay to all of us, like, hey, guys, it's like, we're just going to pray that hopefully Trump does the right thing, finds God, and doesn't do the horrible thing to us. Everybody's jaw dropped, and we were like, what the F?
Yeah, that is pretty crazy because, it's almost like he knew that within that group there would be a certain kind of organization and certain kind of conversations. And it was like, you know what, let's just not have that there. That's interesting.
Yeah, so that's why I feel an entire group of us got tokenized because it's like Pastor Bob is like trying to say like, hey guys, it's like, I love Hispanics, I love African Americans. It's like, hey, we're all part of God's people, but it's like, you want us to sit and quiet though when it comes to politics, especially when it's politics that directly affects us.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the thing that, yeah.
Oh, wait, go on. What were you going to say?
Oh, yeah, I was just going to, yeah, and that's the thing that really just got me so angry. It made my blood boil. And from then on, there were other events that led to it, but I basically told my dad, like, I'll still come and help out for volunteer events at the church, like, especially when we do stuff for the community, because it's like, it's a very low-income community. We'll do things like, get backpacks and school supplies for kids. We'll do canned food drives. And what was really cool is sometimes people will sign up their homes with the church and we'll come and try to fix up their home the best that we can. Like, I'll do that kind of stuff for the church, but I basically told my dad, said, like, but the day-to-day stuff, I'm like, I'm not going to be a part of it anymore because it's like, I love my community. I'm still going to help them out, but it's like, I can't stand by this because I'm like, I know that Pastor Nino is getting his hand forced by his quote-unquote boss, Pastor Bob, because I'm like, there's no way you can be in charge of a Mexican, mostly South American church with lots of people who are legal, and then just say, like, no, guys, we're not going to talk about this thing that's directly affecting us,
Especially because churches are such communities, like this is one of these spaces where people are going to be around each other in large groups and wanting to foster care and support for each other. So of course, naturally, you're going to want to have people who are having those conversations about immigration that are all very delicate to specifically this group. I think it's like impossible to create a predominantly Hispanic church and not have that be part of the conversation. Like, that's pretty wild, actually.
Yeah, it is. And it's like, again, it just got me so mad because, again, to keep things as, vague as possible without bringing any names in, like I just said, this guy, Pastor Bob, he's hugely influential. He does big events outside of his church, too, that make him very known. And I used to, let's just say, volunteer for some of those bigger events, too. So it's like, you really feel backstabbed with this kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, like,
because it's like, even though
oh, go on, sorry.
Oh, no, it's okay. Yeah, I just wanted to say, because it's like, even though I know they were those type of Christians that are very political of like, hey, we want to mold America into a quote unquote Christian nation it used to be, it's like, I guess it's like, there were times where he was becoming less of that, where you kind of hope he was changing for a better direction, less forceful direction. But then it just kind of seems like he went in the opposite direction, and he just like, it's like, it's basically like he's saying like, hey, I'm cool with quote unquote minorities or whatever you want to call us on a larger scale. But it's more like he's saying like, you guys are welcome. He says, as long as you guys act super whitewashed and not in agree with us, don't act too ethnic, as they say. And you know what I mean? You've heard that too.
Yeah, no, I definitely know. Especially if it's the church I'm thinking of. It's I could see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, shit.
It's like they just want us there as background characters to just nod and agree.
And that's terrible, because it's like, why, what is this like? Why have this desire to have some like dominion over different churches if you're not going to like let them freely organize in the way that they would in their own communities? Like, it's interesting.
Yeah, it's really messed up, and I haven't kept an eye on what Pastor Bob, quote unquote, has done lately, but I'm kind of worried because I'm like, I think he is reaching out to the Asian community, and now I'm wondering like, what's going to happen with that,
Well, because it's really curious, like why do all of these churches need to be connected? Like, I don't know. That's a whole other conversation. Like, I don't get it. I get like wanting to connect, like wanting to, build fellowship with multiple churches. I don't get these churches all have to have our name on it kind of thing,
Yeah. And now that you mention it, you know what it kind of feels like?
I mean, I have a theory.
Feels like
feels a little colonization-y to me personally, but it's, teach their own.
Oh shit. You actually said it better than what I was going to say.
Well, what were you going to say?
Well, I was going to say, like, supposedly I have heard that when Starbucks sees, like, a little mom and pop shop, sometimes they take it over, but they keep the name.
Yeah, I have heard that too, actually.
Yeah, again, can't confirm, but I have heard. So this kind of feels like that version with a tiny church, but actually, I think you hit it better on the head, Kat. I think you did. Oh, my God.
I mean, I just don't know why that's so important, I guess I don't know, because I'm assuming these are churches that already existed. It's not like they're building new ones, right?
Well, no, it's more like this. It's more like Pastor Bob will buy up a building or, some land, build a church there, and he'll say like, okay, this particular area has mostly Hispanics in it. He says, so therefore, I'm going to hire a Hispanic pastor, and we're going to do a bunch of like, public events to bring in the people. Yeah. It's not like he sees a Hispanic church and he buys it out. It's not like that. It's more like he builds a Hispanic church in a Hispanic area, hires the Hispanic person he wants, and then he says like, okay, you're going to run this church for me kind of deal.
That is, I mean, oof.
But it still does feel like colonization because it's like, okay, you're not buying out a church that already existed, but you're telling the people there that, like, you guys are welcomed, but no, it's like you guys are silenced the moment you inconvenience me kind of deal.
Yeah, because my thought, too, is, like, I'm sure those people were already going to a church,
Or maybe because it's like, I don't know the full history of that church. I only know it very broadly, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So who knows? You might be right. I'm not sure, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Usually it's like people, a lot of times people will go to a church and they'll feel it out for a bit, and then they'll go to another church and they'll finding a home is very common. It's like, we're going to try a few churches, find one that we really, really like. And then we'll stick to
Right.
that one. And then if like a new church, especially a new church that's tied to like a mega church, you know, that's gonna get even more attention than probably the old church. It's like a little rundown and da 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 da. And next thing you know, everyone in the community is piling into this one mega church. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, especially because with mega churches, they'll give them a very modernistic kind of look.
Mm-hmm.
And some people will be drawn to that. Like, they'll be like, ooh, this looks so new, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, which I don't know. I'm not a religious person anymore, but I've always appreciated older churches, the aesthetic of them more. But to each their own, everyone's got their taste. Well, I'm gonna
No,
take the next
actually, I
call.
agree with that too.
Oh, what did you say?
Oh, I was just going to say, I actually agree with that too. Even though mine's modern, I miss the old aesthetic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just like old buildings in general. That's 100% what it
Right?
is. All right. Well, I'm going to take the next call, but thank you so much for calling in. I really appreciate you sharing this story. It's a very interesting one. And yeah, it sucks.
I know, right? Well, hey, thank you for having me on, Kat. I was a bit nervous, but hopefully I was able to speak as clearly. I hope
Oh, you did
so.
a really good job. You did a really, really good job. So you have nothing to be nervous about.
All right, then. Thank you.
All right. Bye.
All right, awesome.
All righty. That, like I said, we're getting some good calls, y'all. So I might call it in a bit, honestly. But we still got 11 people on the line. I'm gonna take a couple more and we'll see how we feel. Hello.
Hello.
Hi there. Who am I speaking to and what is your true tea?
My name is Jocelyn, and I kind of have like a double story, you could say,
Ooh, okay. We love a double feature.
because I heard that you wanted someone to talk about like tokenizing someone else,
Mm-hmm.
and because where I live, it's predominantly Hispanics, and I'm Hispanic myself. Even though technically, according to like the U.S. Census, Hispanics are considered white if they're not like indigenous.
Mm.
So we're technically white, but we honestly don't see ourselves. It's kind of weird, but basically, like, if there was happened to be a white kid at our school, it would be they would pretty much always get tokenized because it was like they just like white people did not exist. But it was like people were only friends with the white kids who acted more like us. If we
Mm-hmm.
were like if you acted pretty much just like the way people expect white kids to act, you would be kind of like a loner and stuff. I'm not really sure if that's because they choose not to associate or if people don't accept them. Like I'm not sure because the white friend that I feel like I tokenized, he did kind of act he's kind of what you would call like white trash, not to be rude.
I mean,
Like
not to be rude, but white trash. That's a little rude, but
yeah.
okay. What do you mean when you
I mean,
say
we live in
that?
Georgia.
Yeah.
It was one of those like he lived like in a trailer type things.
Okay. Lower
But
income.
lower income, definitely. But it was kind of just I do feel bad looking back on it because we would make a lot of jokes about him being white and stuff. And looking back, because I was like, I don't know, must have been like at least like 8 years ago or something. But just thinking like it was kind of cringy because then that was before like I was online because we were like kids, and then going online and seeing that outside of my community, most of the world is white, which believe it or
Yeah.
not, it was actually kind of low-key a shock to me because I was like, what the hell? Like, I don't know. I just when people said America was a melting pot and we were taught that in school, like I thought they were dead ass. Like I didn't think it was. I don't know. They're always saying that, but in a lot of
Mm-hmm.
places it's not. It's just a bunch of white people.
Yeah.
So
It's
I kind of. Oh, sorry.
Oh no, I was gonna say, yeah, no, there's pockets. It took me a while to realize that like most white people grow up in these like very, very white areas where they only ever interact with white folks. Like a lot. Like that's very
Right.
common. Yeah.
And it's really weird when you like coming into contact with them because it's like I don't know. I've never like just not knowing how to interact with them, especially because they're thinking the same thing. Because it's weird because at the same time, without knowing, y'all are both like I don't know how to explain, like both being weird to each other because y'all were both used to be the majority.
Mm.
Like you're used to being the majority.
Mm-hmm.
But back to what I was saying, like when I realized, like getting online and seeing how people, how obviously it was, people would complain about being tokenized, but it was always people of color. But it's like we were doing that to him, even
There
though
was
it
a
was
bit of
really weird
reverse
because,
racism. How could
yeah,
you? How fucking could you?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't have too much guilt because I do recognize that, like, obviously it's a little bit different to a white person than when it is to like a person of color. It's not, in my opinion, it's not the same.
Mm. I mean, it's interesting because like I feel like a lot of times when I've seen a white person be the only white person in a space, they're very aware of the fact that every other place they're in, they are the majority. So they really kind of enjoy like being a very self-deprecating, oh, I'm a white guy
Oh,
kind of stuff.
oh my God. No, that was something else. I think was a thing like being like having to feel like apologizing for racism or stuff like that. I don't
Mm.
know. And it's like it's fine if you didn't do it. It's fine.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's the next thing that I was gonna mention was me being tokenized
Yeah, let's talk
by
about
someone
that.
else. And like I said, like where the town and the area, the county in general actually is the most it's the most diverse county in Gwinnett.
Mm.
So as you leave the county, it gets less and less diverse. But my friend group is all Hispanic, and two of them coincidentally moved to like the same town, and it's not super far away, but it's like 40 minutes. So I went to visit them this one time, and they had a white coworker that they befriended, and at first everything was normal, and we were just like in the car. But I started to notice that she would make remarks about, but not. It was the opposite of. She wasn't like doing the self-deprecating stuff, but she was always acknowledging like our ethnicity, and
Mm.
it was getting really weird. Like I was like, okay, this is weird, especially since when we got to that girl's house, she I'm sorry, I just suddenly got very nervous.
Oh, it's okay.
Yeah, but she was having like a cookout, and it was Nicaraguan food.
Mm.
And I guess because that sounds exotic, she expected the food to be like seasoned or something because she made a comment being like, she was eating it and kind of looking at it like distastefully, being like, I thought it would be more seasoned. And we were just sitting there, like, we all looked at each other and we were just like, girl, like, it's not, it is seasoned, first of all. That's the first thing we said, but it's like, I don't know why you would expect it to be like, I mean, it was just rice, beans, and chicken. Like, what do you want? Like, almost everybody in the world eats this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It was one of those things where, like, because I was always used to being in a place that was just like all people of color,
Mm.
whether it be like Hispanics, Black people, Asian, like, there was never any white people around. So to just see the audacity, like, of like, literally, like, meeting being the first white friend that I've ever been introduced to, and them having the audacity to act that way, I'm just like, this is normal to y'all. Like, you do this all the time.
Mm. So like, what you took issue with just them being weird about Nicaraguan food?
Yeah.
Mm.
But it was a build up because they would make comments about like they would keep asking about our culture, like either hers, which is Nicaraguan, or ours, which me and the other friend, we were both Mexican.
Mm.
She would ask about stuff just to kind of be like, "Oh, that's weird," or like, "I could never do that." And it's like, I don't. Then why are you asking about it? Like, I don't know, being like, "Why do y'all fry your fry your beans in pig fat?" And I'm just like, I don't know. They just do. Like,
Yeah, that's odd. That is like very strange. Everyone has their own thing. It's interesting. Growing up where I grew up, it's like I've been around so much different types of food. So it's always weird to me when people are like weirded out by other people's like diverse palates.
yeah,
But
like
it's interesting. Like I grew up in a predominantly Asian community, and I remember being a kid and having some friends like express hesitation because they're like, well, they're so used to being made fun of for like the things that they ate. But I grew up eating that all the time, so it wasn't weird to me. Um, but they're still like, oh, we have this like really ethnic thing that might be offensive to your palate. So, um, you know, sometimes I think when you get stuff that's like less seasoned than you expect, it's because they're like anticipating the fact that, you know, you might not like
mm,
it. So they're going to try to change it so
that's
that it
true.
fits a more American palate. You know, I have no concept of what Nicaraguan food tastes like, but that wouldn't shock me. So,
I think that specific time, it's just that it was a normal cookout, and we didn't specifically tell her that it was going to be any type of food. We just said a
mm,
cookout. So, and it's like it's like we live in America, like we don't live in Nicaragua. Like it's not going to be it's going to be like Nicaraguan American food. Like
of
how people say
course.
Mexican American, like it's not going to be exactly the same.
Hmm.
But I think it's just it's just strange to me when people don't have experience with like many different cultures because of where I live, like there's so many different pockets, like there's pockets of Asian communities, black communities, everything except white. So it's just weird how I feel like within people of color communities, we tend to know more about each other and a lot about white people, but like white people tend to know nothing about anyone else.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, it's a very one-way street. Well,
Yeah.
I'm gonna take the next call, but I really appreciate you calling in and giving me your story and your true tea. Thank you so much for sharing with me.
All right. Thank you. Have a great day.
All right, bye. All right. So the vibe I'm feeling, hey, I'm hungry as fuck. And I need to like have a light dinner before like a light lunch or something um before I, fill my tummy tonight with so many things I shouldn't eat. So I'm gonna order food for myself, and and which will take decent amount of time, I guess. But I feel like we've got some really good calls, so I'm gonna take some more. But I feel in general like we've probably got some really good stuff to work with, and that might be enough. That might just be enough. So I'm putting in my Chinese order because I want Chinese food because I am really just great at health. Um, so good at the health thing, that thing that we do. And putting in my order. And then sorry. All right, putting in my order. Placed it. Great, and that's probably going to be a while. Ah, fuck! Did I just fuck my nail up? Oh my god! Ah! All right, we'll just put some glitter over it, and it'll be fine. But that's so annoying. All right, let's take the next call. Hello.
Hi.
Hi there. Who am I speaking
Um,
to, and what is your true tea?
I'm Stacy. Stacy Star.
Hi, Stacy
Um,
Star.
Hi. I'm a trans girl, a black trans girl. I'm 21. I guess my true tea is there's this guy that I like, but so we're comedians. I'm a comedian and also a singer and dancer. Um, we're comedians, and he had this skit that, like, at first it felt like it came from the heart, and he was like, "Oh, if, what are we doing now? If you're not going to date a trans girl, then you're part of the problem." And he was like saying that in his comedy skit, and he was saying, "If you haven't had a lady dick in your mouth, then you're part of the problem." I'm like, oh, like at first it felt like it kind of came from the heart. So I was like, okay. And then like he completely dismissed me and my other friend who's also a black trans woman. And then like now he's snugging it up with some white cis girl.
Mm-hmm.
It just pissed me off.
Wait, so you felt tokenized because he made that joke?
I felt tokenized because he used the he used trans women. He used his, the perception of his attraction towards us
Mm-hmm.
as a means to garnish laughter in
Mm.
his comedy skit, and to look like he's like this woke guy who's like, whoa, he's so woke, but like he's chilling it up with a white cis girl and completely dismissed the true trans girls after telling this skit and saying like, oh, if you're not into trans women, you're part of the problem. It's 2021. I'm like, dude,
Wait,
like
so
the
this is
fuck.
someone that you approached and like, did you have a thing with him, or were you just interested in him and he wasn't interested in you?
So this was a guy that at first he was interested in me. I think like he
Mm.
was interested in me and my friend. Like it looked like he was like kind of sort of flirting with us.
Mm.
And like it's kind of like okay, when a guy, he says like, "Oh, I don't mind trans women," and then like he's weird about it.
Yeah, yeah. But like, I guess
Yeah,
I guess what I'm trying to figure out is like, because sometimes people just don't like you specifically. Like they might still like trans women, but they might not just like you
yeah,
specifically. And I've had to accept that sometimes it has nothing to do with me being trans, has everything to do with, you know, them just not liking me specifically. you know. Um so I guess I'm like,
yeah.
I'm curious, you
I guess
felt,
because
go on.
I guess I guess because he continuously told the skit
Mhm.
time after time after time after time after that.
Mm.
Wow, like he didn't just do this to me. He did this to my friend.
Mm.
And I suspect he's done it to other trans girls because I saw his profile on Tammy. But like now he's like with this cis girl.
Well, they might be open,
So
they might be poly. He might still
they
be open
might
to dating
be.
trans women. He just might also be dating a white woman right now.
Uh,
You never know. I'm just,
yeah,
I'm just
yeah. But
saying.
like the fact that he has to be like pinned down to some white girl in order to be open.
Hmm.
I'm sorry, I'm not polyamorous. I am exclusively monogamous.
Hmm.
I try to do polyamory, but like I don't know. Like
Hmm.
I honestly like, and it's just I don't know. It's just like it's these guys that like to lead me on,
Ah.
but then like they pretend that they're like I guess that they are different. Like I keep thinking that I can trust a man if he's like a communist or if he's
Hmm.
like a leftist. Like there's no way at all he could be, even slightest transphobic.
I mean,
And
unfortunately, they know that that's what it looks like, so they put that on their profiles so that you trust them more.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that
and I guess
I've learned that just because somebody says that they're leftist doesn't mean that they are or b actually live their politics. you know.
yeah, yeah.
So have you had a conversation
Honestly,
with this guy about this?
no, I unfriended him on Snapchat after he played with my heart, and then I tried to add him back because he said, "Oh, add me back," and was like crying about it. And so I added him back, and then like he was like, "Oh, too bad, you unfriended me the first time, so we can't talk anymore." I'm like,
Mm.
"What the fuck?"
Mm.
Yeah, this guy's a piece of shit.
Sounds like a mess. Sounds like a mess. Well, I'm gonna.
It's an, you know,
What were you gonna say?
it's an entire mess. But I also wanted to say I have so many instances where people in my life say like I'm I'm this strong black trans woman who's made it through all my adversities and gotten on top, and they like praise the fact that I'm fighting, but like I never see them fighting with me. When I'm
Mm.
sitting alone, no one joins me, and it just I guess like like
Yeah.
those people that say like how strong I am, they're not the ones that are here right
Yeah. Yeah. And you shouldn't have to be that strong if you've got friends. Like
now. Yeah.
you should be able to have people there that are willing to support you and help you when you are in need. So I've always thought it was interesting listening to people praise strength from afar, but never like offer to help somebody not be as distressed as they currently are. You know.
Yeah. And it's like I'm 21 and I am got kicked out of my mom's house and am scrambled on what I'm supposed to fucking do. I don't know what to fucking do. I'm lost in the fucking world.
Mm.
And it's just so and everyone says I'm strong, but I don't feel strong. I just feel alone.
Aw. Well, I'm really sorry that
Yeah.
you've been going through all of that. That's very unfortunate.
Yeah. I wanted to say it means the world meeting you. Look,
Aw.
you gave me the strength to come out of the closet. I don't give
Aw.
a shit that I got kicked out of my mom's house, you know. I'm sorry, I'm trying so hard not to cry if my mascara's gonna run. But
You
I
gotta stay
just
pretty,
I
sis.
wanna
Don't
say that
cry.
I just wanna say that you changed my life, all right?
Aw.
Like you're my idol. And I'm not trying to say
Aw.
like I just really appreciate you.
Aw. Well, I really appreciate
Yeah.
that. That's why I try to do this stuff. I'm sorry that you got kicked out. That really is rough. But you're definitely you're pursuing your truth, and that comes with challenge. So
You
I'm
make everything feel a little less alone, Kat.
aw. Well, thank you so much. That's why I'm here. Well, I'm gonna take the next call, but I really appreciate you calling in and feel free to call in next time.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Bye. All right, so I I don't know if ooh. I don't know if y'all couldn't have heard that, but my stomach just made a sound. It was like, bitch, eat some fucking food. Um so I think I've got time for at least one more call because yeah, that's about when my food's gonna get here. And I think we've got some really good calls to begin with. So you know, ooh, we will take one more call. And then I'll probably end up going. All right, here we go. Hello.
Oh, hi.
Hi there. Who am I speaking to and what is your true tea?
I'm Esme Blackheart, and I guess my true tea. There's kind of two stories. Um, because as a queer trans black person, who is also not straight and all of that jazz, there's a lot of tokenism that I have faced in my 20 years of living. So it's just
Mm.
a fun adventure to go on every day. Um, I think the one I want to speak about, I guess, is when I moved back from Florida. I was about with my mom. I was about 15, 16, and was in like not doing great in school. I have ADHD, autism, all that stuff, and paired with not being white, it wasn't treated well in the schooling system. So when I moved back up to Massachusetts, where I am now, I was homeschool went to like a homeschooling co-op thing, which was predominantly mostly white. There
Mm.
was a few other there was a few Asian kids there, but for my 2 years there, I was either the only black kid or one of two.
Mm.
So it became a whole thing of all the race issues really kind of fell into my lap as a student there, which was not what I was signing up for. And it was
Yeah.
just like a whole weird situation of me feeling like I had to be the one facilitating these conversations with the adults in the room because there was no faculty of color either.
Mm.
It was only white people on the faculty, and it didn't really seem like they were doing their best to try to reach out and try to get more people of color into the schooling situation, even though what they were doing there would have been really, really helpful to people like me and to other queer and black people and people of color because it was not as hard or not as like much. It was just a different type of racism there, I guess, is to
Mm.
like in a way. Um, but I think a big thing that happened there was after I was like the only black person there, a lot like it just became I was the one who had to deal with it. I was the one who like had to talk to the white students about this and that and be the one trying to help them figure out how to get more people of color there.
Mm.
And I felt very tokenized. I was on their home screen. I was on
Oh
like their
wow.
Instagram photos.
You were on the
Um,
diversity page. Like they put you right on the flyer. They said black people go
I was
here.
right on the flyer. I was right on the flyer. I am still on the flyer, even though I haven't been there for 2, 3 years.
Oh wow.
I am still on their home screen. Like I checked because I was like, this would be funny if I'm still on there, like to just talk about it. And I checked, and I am there with one of my Asian friends who was at the school who also isn't there anymore, and it's a whole other thing. And I think I don't know when I left if they had any other black students come in.
Oh really? Damn.
Yeah, and I'm half black, so like I was the darkest person here, which is a whole other thing, a whole other like colorism thing, and it just became like a little much.
Mm.
And they were really good with the queerness because a lot of the students there were queer,
Mm-hmm.
but it seemed like that's where it kind of stopped for them.
Ah.
And like I appreciate parts of it, but I'm also like you have to like look at things with the full picture, the full lens of like
Mm-hmm.
what could have they done better? Why was I the one who had to like teach like students could teach classes there if they wanted to, like because it was a homeschooling thing, so like
Mm-hmm.
there wasn't a set curriculum. You went to classes that you wanted to go to. And I wanted to set up a class about queer and like POC more falling into black representation in media and how that how it can be really harmful in certain ways because of the stereotypes that are always thrust upon black women. They're loud, they're aggressive, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And no one showed up.
Oh wow. Well, I mean that's not totally
Um,
surprising because these people in this
yeah,
space
I
don't
think
care that much.
right. It's like they want to until they will do it until they have to show up. They'll be on the sidelines there for you, but they won't show up when you need it.
Mm.
And I think like leaving there, I was 18, I think, because I think I went there for 2 years. I was 18, then went on to community college, which was a whole other thing, dealing with more racist white people who excused their racism because they were queer. Which, and I think it just became like, again, I usually the token in a lot of friend groups because I have all these identities. And like a lot of times this is the trans one. Oh, this is the black one. Oh, this is the like autistic, like, like just a bunch of different things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and like
that
it can get
sucks.
very tiring. And I think when COVID hit, I switched a lot of my friendships to online, and that honestly really helped because I was able to search out and seek out communities that were more like me. So it became, I wasn't the only one in these situations. I wasn't the only person like myself in this, in these. And like, yeah, it just was a whole experience of like, I am 15, 16, and I am the one trying to educate the students, educate the teachers here, and I'm just here to learn. This is not my job. And there was other things that they did, like a very weird